Oh hi. Saint Lucia, the island state located on the island of the same name in the Navitrini Islands of West Indies between islands Saint Vincent and Martinique. The island is washed from the north by St. Lucia Channel, from the south the Passage St. Vincent which connect the Caribbean Sea to the water area of the Atlantic Ocean. The area of the territory is 616 km. The state capital, the city of Castries. St. Lucia was discovered by Columbus on December 13, 1502 in date by St. Lucia. The first attempts to found the constant settlement were made by British during the period since 1605 on 1638, however were unsuccessful because of resistance of locals, aggressive Indians of Caribs. In November 1640 the Captain Philip Bow reported to London from Barbados. In West Indies near Barbados there is an island called Santa Lucia. Recently British who were in food, clothes, weapon and ammunition in great need now took control of him. All this it is necessary to have an opportunity not only to hold on the island, but also to reserve it in fight against enemies and Indians. In this regard 140 colonists were directed to the island. However this invention wasn't crowned with success. As a result of attack of locals the governor and many British was killed. Only the few survivors managed to reach Barbados and St. Kitts. Having signed a contract with natives, the French could found transshipment terminal in 1643. The French founded the settlement in 1650. In 1651 the governor of Martinique Diddle du Parc approved the governor of the island. Massachusetts' import of the African slaves for works on sugar plantations began with the middle of the 17th century. Over time as a part of the population Africans and mulattoes began to dominate. St. Lucia was a scene of the continuous conflict between England and France. It passed from hand to hand, attracting with the comfortable Bay Castries. In 1664 it is taken by England. In 1666 it is returned by France. In 1723 it is taken by Britain. In 1756 it is returned by France. In 1762 it is taken by Britain. In 1763 it is returned by France. In 1778 it is taken by Britain. In 1783 it is returned by France. In 1796 it is taken by Britain. In 1802 it is returned by France. In 1803 St. Lucia was taken once again by British. In 1814 the island, according to the Parisian contract, departed to Great Britain, having turned into her colony. In 1834 the British colonial authorities cancelled slavery on the island. With 1838 St. Lucia was a part of the British colony Navitrini Islands. In 1958, 2 years as a part of the West Indian Federation. In 1967 St. Lucia received the status of the state associated with Great Britain and acquired the right of self-government in internal affairs. Full independence was provided to St. Lucia on February 22, 1979. In 2012-2013 St. Lucia was a part of Alliance Alba. Saint Lucia, the Dick of the British Commonwealth of Nations, the head of state, the Queen of Great Britain. Now, Elizabeth II. Presented by the Governor-General. Under the Constitution, any citizen Sadrzastva appointed at will of the monarch can be him. In practice, usually local native, according to the recommendation of the head of the government of the country is appointed to this post. The Governor-General. Since 1997 Calliope Perlet Lucia gives an assignment to create the government and approves its structure after approval by Parliament, appoints members of the Senate, according to the recommendation of the Prime Minister, dismisses Parliament and appoints new elections, signs laws and approves appointment of the high-ranking government officials. Legislature of two-chamber Parliament. The Upper House, the Senate. 11 places. 6 senators are appointed according to the recommendation of the Prime Minister, 3 according to the recommendation of the Leader of Opposition, 2 according to the recommendation of religious, economic and social groups. Lower Chamber of a Meeting. 17 deputies elected by the population for 5-year term. Executive power belongs to the government, the cabinet. The Prime Minister is at the head of them. The party leader of the coalitions, having the majority in chamber of a meeting, is ordinarily appointed to this post after elections. Main political parties. The Labour Party of St. Lucia -11 seats in chamber of a meeting. The United Party of Workers -6 seats in chamber of a meeting. Also are available and represented in Parliament, National Alliance and the Party for Freedom of St. Lucia. In the administrative relation, the country is subdivided into 11 arrivals. In each of them there are local governments, city and rural councils and managements. The state of St. Lucia is located on the island of the same name as a part of the archipelago of Lesser Antilles. In the north borders on the island of Martinique. Across St. Lucia Channel. In the south, on the island St. Vincent, which is a part the states of St. Vincent and Grenadines. On the passage of the same name. From the east it is washed by waters of the Atlantic Ocean, from the west the Caribbean Sea. Total length of the coastline of 158 km. The tear-shaped island in the plan has the size is about 44 km in length and 23 km width at the total area of 617 km. The second largest in the southern group of Navitrini Islands. The volcanic origin, and therefore more gorest than the majority of other islands of the Caribbean Sea, has the island of St. Lucia. In fact, he represents top of ancient volcanic group whose cones form the main mountain tops of the country. On all length of the island, from the north on the south, the central mountain chain very deludes with heights from 400 to 900 m lasts, reaching the biggest height on the Mount Jimmy, 950 m. And in the volcanic Python array. Gross Python -797 m, T-Python -750 m, Mornbonen -640 m. In the southwest. In the same area traces of vigorous volcanic activity, hot sulfuric springs, bald-headed lava fields, gas discharges meet much, deposits are grey. Slopes of the volcanic massif grew with magnificent tropical forests, and the numerous short rivers form wide and fertile valleys. The coast of the island is formed by a rather narrow strip of the coastal lowland and cut strongly up. Southeast and northwest coast form a certain similarity of the Cherny area with the numerous gulfs and bays framed with a set of tiny reefs. The climate is tropical Passini. Sea winds soften a heat. Average monthly temperature of 18-26 C, rainfall from 1500 to 3000 May year. A dry season from January to April. Rainy from May to August. At all seasons of the year the powerful, but intermittent pouring rains having usually for the end of day are possible. The destructive tropical hurricanes especially frequent at the end of summer are frequent. On the island about 400 plant species, and in many places of a palm tree, various bushes, orchids and others exotic floral lichen and turium grow, form the dense carpet covering slopes of mountains, valleys, beds of the rivers and even a roadside of roads. The southern and southeast slopes of mountains are covered with the dry woods with prevalence of shrubby subtropical vegetation. The local fauna includes an endemic earth lizard, the Amazonian iridescent parrot and two rodents, a gut and two manic, widespread on all island. The protected natural territories are numerous. National Park Pigeon Island. It is founded in 1979. In whom practically all plants growing on the island and also rare species of birds are collected. The reserve Frigate Island, lying on the middle of east coast in a northern part of the Gulf Prowling Bay, is the site of nestovia of numerous frigates, herons and couples of species of rare local birds. Ramey's pigeon and Santaluzisky oriole. The reserve Maria Island, lying to the east by 4, is the only habitat of a cow snake tucuva, one of the most rare kinds of eels and also a rare earth lizard, Zendolidos. Maria's lizard. The National Park of Rainforest covers 19,000 acres of magnificent mountains and valleys at the bottom of Peak of Morangimi and is the house for huge ferns, orchids, birds of paradise and many species of local trees. The reserve mangrove, located on the southeast coast of the island to the north of Seagull's Point, is the last place of growth of the natural mangrove woods on the island. Economy. The economy of St. Lucia is based on tourism and offshore business. In 2008 DDD was, by assessment, $1.8 billion, or about $11.1 thousand per capita. Distribution of DDD on the industries. Agriculture -5%, the industry -15%, services sector -80%. Real DDD growth in 2008 decreased to 1.7%. The rate of inflation in 2007, 1.9%. Unemployment rate in 2003 reached 20%. Structure of employment in 2002. Agriculture -22%, the industry and trade -25%, services sector -54%. The main traditional branches of economy, service of tourists and agriculture. The main culture, bananas. Also coconuts, mango, cocoa, a citrus, grapes, a sugar cane are grown up. Cancellation of the EU of favored treatment and the growing competition from producers of bananas in Latin America dictated need of diversification of economy of the island. The country began to attract foreign capital investments, especially to the offshore bank sphere and the industry of tourism. For those someone are ready to carry out a contribution to National Economic Fund on an irrevocable basis, there is a possibility of acquisition of citizenship of St. Lucia. The industrial sector is the most various of all countries of the East Caribbean region. The government tries to recover the banana industry also. Point Serafin. The peninsula waves, Castries. The biggest complex of duty-free trade in the countries of the Caribbean Sea. In St. Lucia, grower materials processing, production of fabrics, clothes, furniture, a cardboard container, cigarettes, ready-to-wear clothes, batteries and electronic devices, drinks is developed. Assembly of electronic components. Production of building materials. Transit oil terminal and oil refinery. Fishery which products come to domestic market is conducted. Export. Bananas, cocoa beans, coconuts, copra, coconut oil and various tropical fruit and also clothes and toys. Export volume in 2006 was $288 million. The main partners in export: Great Britain, the USA, the countries of the Caribbean Community. Food, industrial goods, cars and the equipment, fuel generally from Brazil, by the USA, Great Britain, the countries of the Caribbean Community, Japan and Canada are imported. $791 million in 2006. Actively developing foreign tourism provides about 50% of currency receipts. Annually the country is visited by about 300,000 tourists. Population minus 165,595 inhabitants. A census of 2010. Card. Assessment of 2016. Annual gain minus 0.4%. Birth rate minus 14.8 for 1000. Fertility minus 1.82 births only woman. Mortality minus 6.9 for 1000. Emigration minus 3.9 for 1000. Ethno-racial structure. Blacks of 85.3%, mulattoes of 10.8%, Indians of 2.2%, Europeans of 0.6%. On a census of 2010. In relation to religion. Catholics of 67.5%, Adventists of 8.5%, Pentecostals of 5.7%, Anglicans of 2%, Evangelists of 2%, other Christians of 5.1%, the Rastafarian of 2.1%, other 2.6%, atheists of 4.5%. On a census of 2001. Official language, English. Among a considerable part of the population, the patois. Local Creole language on the basis of French is widespread. The most outstanding figure in the cultural history of St. Lucia is the poet and playwright Derek Walcott, the Nobel Prize laureate on literature of 1992. St. Lucia has no regular army. The Special Service and the Coast Guard are under command of Royal Police of St. Lucia. Armed Forces of the United States consider St. Lucia the partner country in the Caribbean region. On the island, the annual transatlantic regatta finishes. President of the Olympic Committee of St. Lucia, Richard Peterkin. Sword. 1948. In 2009 it was elected as a member of the International Olympic Committee. The lesbians, gays, bisexuals and transsexuals. Liet. Living on St. Lucia face legal problems which the not Liet member of the population doesn't face. St. Lucia forbids a sexual relationship between men, punishing guilty persons for 10 years of imprisonment. However, the law isn't observed. St. Lucia was also only member of the Union in North-South America who officially opposed the Declaration of the Union on Sexual Orientation and Gender. Transport. Automobile communication is developed. All large settlements are connected with seaports and the capital, the Belt Road. From 1210 km of highways, only the hard coating has 63 km. 2 airports function. Education. Almost in all settlements there are public elementary schools. About 20 high public schools, 10 private schools, college and also branch of the West Indian University. Labor unions. The National Union of Workers, Labor Union of Seamen and Port Workers of St. Lucia, the Union of Workers of St. Lucia. Armed Forces. Except Royal Police parts, there are divisions of Special Forces and the Coast Guard. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.